Welcome, Shantanu ji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I would like to introduce you to one of the most celebrated speaker these days of non-fiction because of his book, The Monk Who Became a Chief Minister. It was listed in Amazon for the most memorable non-fiction books of 2015. Shantanu Gupta ji. 2017. Shantanu Gupta ji is an Indian author, TEDx speaker, political analyst. We get to see him daily on national TV. He is a published author with renowned publications like Sage, Bloomsbury, Rupa. His latest book, BJP, Past, Present and Future, is a leading on the charts of Amazon. As I told you, his last book, The Monk Who Became a Chief Minister, a biography on Yogi Adityanath, was listed as the most memorable non-fiction book in 2017 by Amazon. Shantanu ji is the official biographer of Yogi Adityanath ji. And Shantanu ji has a degree of engineering from GB Pant University, management education from XLRI Jamshedpur. He is traveling to Jamshedpur tomorrow for his TED talk. He did his masters in policy and politics from Institute of Development Studies, IDS, University of Sussex, which he says is not London, it's Sussex. And he has worked with several management consultant companies and spent about 10 years in Switzerland, Cyprus, Hungary, Israel. He has represented India in many international conferences on economy policy in Germany, Malaysia and Sri Lanka. Right, I would straight away jump to the shift in your career. You started off as a process and management consultant and then ventured into writing. First as a biographer, then a chronicler of a movement. We would like to hear the story from you.
I think let's go to the story of books as quick as we can. But yeah, I have spent almost 10 years working in various jobs. So the access card was changing every 2-3 years, but paycheck was also changing every 2-3 years. I think at some point I realized I think I want to do something else. This kida that we all had. So at some point I decided. Let's take a U-turn. I went to UK, did a formal degree in policy, and then joined whatever you call it, public life, social life, authoring books. So yeah, that's how.
May I request you to play a video, the second one?
Oh, that Yogi books video plays.
Yes.
So this video is on my Yogi Adityanath's book. I find it a little cheesy, but a lot of people like it, and I see a lot of young faces in the book. This video got viral. And this is also one of the ways you can promote your books, but yeah, whenever it plays it, I'm a little odd, but I can still play it.
It's a rap song.
Suno mere brother, suno mere sister, the story of the monk who became chief minister, a wonderful leader, the fearless yogi. इनकी तारीफ इनके काम से ही होगी, डरती पॉलिटिक्स इनके आते ही खत्म, बड़ा सिंपल सा है बड़ा काम, ज़्यादा बातें कम, सबका सॉल्यूशन इनका जनता दरबार, कोई मजाक तो नहीं होना MP 5 पार लगातार। योगी करते हैं सारे यहाँ पर, पूरी कहानी सब जाने कहाँ, कलरफुल लाइफ ये कैसे सेपरेट हुई, and how come Ajay became a yogi? ऐसा क्या हुआ सब बदलने की ठानी? If you wanna know पढ़ो इनकी कहानी, पढ़ो मेरे brother, पढ़ो मेरी sister, the story of the monk who became chief minister.
This is the guy who did this song. I think because we are not talking on that book, so I think they wanted to.
But I actually want, if I showed this video, is because since I have mentioned it already twice that it was the most favored non-fiction book in 2017 by Amazon. So I wanted to start because it is the start of your writing sojourn, I would say.
So it's not. I have written 4 books before that, but no one knew that I wrote those books. And after that, everyone started calling me author and expert, which I think I probably not still, and I was even before, but you never know. And channels started calling me, and I'm already past more than 1,000 books. But yeah, this I think one book can do to you. And now it's
in 8 languages.
Yeah, now it's in multiple languages. Wow. It's even coming in Urdu and Sanskrit. and Odia and Manipuri, which doesn't have a script, it seems it's coming up. So yeah. Well, I think that's not maybe because of the book, because of the personality I luckily chose. So yeah, that's about it.
Coming to the present book, BJP, Past, Present and Future. What precipitated you to write this volume? Your book is about BJP. However, only 40% of it is about BJP. Means you roughly get it somewhere around 250th page of the book that you actually mention the word BJP. So, how should we interpret that? How should the audience connect to it that when they have picked up the book, it's not actually you are talking about the BJP right on the first page.
So first of all, it's not a wrong cover, it's a BJP book. And yeah, well, he's right, it's a 400-page book and it has 5 sections. And the section BJP, the person BJP starts only from page number 247. So from page number 1 to 247, it's not BJP, but I'll come to that. Why I started the book, I think at times you don't have a reason to start a book, but yeah, I think one small trigger, I think that made me to start a book. Or I think in August 2015, I happened to be in BJP's old office, 11 Ashok Road. There was a friend, Vikas Singh, he used to manage their data campaign. BJP was doing this SMS campaign to become the member of the party. And they were trying to beat Communist Party of China, who had some 8 crore 30 lakh people by the SMS campaign. And they had put this big ticker that with every SMS coming in, the ticker will go with one count up. And Amit Shah was the party president then, and with a very childlike curiosity I saw him peeping on the ticker twice, that has the ticker beaten the Communist Party of China or not. And at some moment at 5:30 or 6 o'clock it did. And like everyone in the whole party office, and the old party office was a little simplish, now the new one is a little different. And everyone, including Amit Shah, was as if they won some World Cup. And a very childlike smile to everyone. So I think that's why I decided that the story of this phenomena should be told in entirety. I've seen a lot of books which talks about electoral victory of BJP or electoral loss of BJP, or maybe one leader here or one leader there. A lot of biographies of Atal Bihari Vajpayee or L.K. Advani, or L.K. Advani's own autobiography, with the same publisher Rupa. But I never saw the story being told in entirety as the movement, because I see BJP as the political manifestation of years of nationalistic movements. So if you just connect the simple dots, see, BJP got created in 1980, right? And a lot of people say it's just a name change, because the same people who were heading it before in 1977, Bharatiya Janata Sangh, Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Lalkesh Advani, they founded BJP, right? So at least you have to count Janata Sangh as a BJP. That's a name change, and we can debate why we change the name. And who founded Bharatiya Janata Sangh? Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Where was he? He was in Hindu Mahasabha. So you have to talk about what was Hindu Mahasabha. And who founded Hindu Mahasabha? A lot of Arya Samajis from Punjab and Haryana. So then you have to talk about Arya Samaj at least. So I started the story after 1857's war is ended, and how Muslim appeasement is happening in India, the starting, and how in reaction Hindu Mahasabha is coming, what's the Arya Samaj doing, and how a lot of those principles are still applied by BJP. That's why those page 1 to 247 is narrating all of this, and then start the today's BJP. And in fact, frankly speaking, today BJP is I added just for the completeness of it, because that's, I think everyone knows more or less what happened in 1980 onwards till now. So I think my idea is to write on because every debate today, be it CAA, be it NRC, be it Ram Mandir, it has huge history to it. And a lot of people debate it as if it's like a 5-day-old issue or a 2-month-old issue. They all have 100 to 150 years history at least. So I try to chronologize all of that. That's why BJP only has 40% of today.
We again have a video on the promo of the book. So can we display that?
This is made by my publisher, they asked me to play. This is a little promo type, so yeah.
And there's a disclaimer, since Pawan mentioned it very clearly in the morning and at the keynote that VLF is apolitical, but since the subject is absolute politics based, it is just a book which we are talking about, not any political ideology we are talking about.
So why be apologetic?
I think he can be, I will not be. Yeah. There's some sound.
So the next question is that BJP, as it is mentioned in the book as well as in the promo, that they had only 2 seats in 1984. So why was it that till Ram Janmabhoomi actually happened, BJP was probably struggling for survival, or I would say that they came into fore only after Ram Janmabhoomi movement happened, or is it just a misreading from us on our part?
I think we have to read BJP at least with Jansangh, if not Hindu Mahasabha, because Hindu Mahasabha and Jansangh has major ideological differences, though some commonalities. If you see the journey of Jansangh, Jansangh came into fore just before the first election of India. First election of India happened in 1921, and they just came into fore just a couple of months before that. And in the very first election, they became the National Party. Even after 70 years, apart from BJP and Congress, there is no party who got 7% vote. In the very first election, they got 6.5% vote in the whole of India, right? So they were the national party then, right? Though I think we all agree, जो जीता वही सिकंदर, जब तक आपके MP नहीं आएगा, जब तक सरकार नहीं बनेगी, you will not call. But again, as an analyst, you have to say how much vote are they gathering, how much is the reception of the thought, right? So it was still since then, 1951, right? And election after election, the graph was going up. In fact, in 1967, when a couple of state elections happened, they formed state government with a lot of coalition partners. In Uttar Pradesh, they formed government. In fact, Deendayal Upadhyay ji was coming in a train after forming the government in Uttar Pradesh when he was murdered, killed, accident, whatever, we don't even know still, when his body was found in a railway station, right? So I think it's not a fair idea to say that they only surged after Ram Janmabhoomi. I will call it a second surge of the whole movement, political movement, the nationalistic political movement. But it had its surges in 1967, 68, and then again after Ram Janmabhoomi. So yeah, I'll call it a second surge, not only the only surge.
Shantanu ji, your book talks a lot about references. There are roughly about 500 references you have drawn from various sources. How easy was it to get? How reliable they are? And do you feel the job of aspiring writers who want to dig deep into the reference part of various subjects, does their job becomes easier after you have written this book?
See, every book is a good piece of work for the second author to take reference from, right? Because you have to reference it somewhere, right? And if the book is published with a decent author, it's standing in market, it's easy to reference it. And I'm sure many of you know I have dedicated almost 4 or 5 pages in it, that how JNU, and Professor Matna, I'm not talking against JNU, I'm saying how through JNU, a lot of left liberals have captured the academia after 1967, right? And this is not only in JNU, throughout the country, and their books were getting published. So that's why if you go to library after library, you will not get a reference. If you want to write pro-right, you will not get a credible reference in English. So let's say Veer Savarkar's biography by Dhananjay Keer. Getting an English version of it is not so easy. Now I think they published. When I started writing it 3 years back, even the Nehru Memorial Library only had 1 copy. I got it Xerox. So without Nehru Memorial Library, first of all, you can't write a lot of books in India. I think at least I can't never realize. And I have to hire an intern just to get my section Xerox, because it's quite a work. You find a book, you go to the Xerox section, you say I want these pages Xerox, and you wait for 2-3 days, and then you go again there. I live in another part of the city in Delhi, collect them, and you have to do this almost every 3rd day when you realize, okay, I need this book. So I put an intern just to do this work for me, right? So yeah, getting references is not easy. That's why in an article recently in Organizer, I'm saying anyone on the pro-right side, I know left and right are little loose terms, but again, that's the way people understand them. They should contribute at least 1 book, well-referenced book in life, so that the other author can reference it easily. Because even a very known fact, in a book you have to reference it from where? Like even you have to say Nehru was the first Prime Minister, you have to reference it from somewhere. You can't use Wikipedia, right? And lot of other nuanced arguments, you have to peg it somewhere. So let's say Vikram is sitting here and he has done amazing work on Veer Savarkar. Now we have a lot of references when we talk about Veer Savarkar. Because a lot of muck has thrown around, which is very easy to throw, right? But to finally reference it and to quote it and to extend the narrative after that, you need solid references. That's why it was very tough to get my references curated, all these 500 references. Out of that, almost 100 are newspaper references to contextualize in the current context. But all those book references are difficult to combine. The publishers, some of them publishers are no more. They're not Amazon, they're not available in the library. You have to go to the publisher, you have to call the publisher, send him the copy. He has some other Deemak Khaiwa copies which he'll send you. You have to send him money by check. So all of that happened. You have to collect my sources. Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of other authors will share the same experience.
Talking about Savarkar, you have devoted an entire chapter to Veer Savarkar. There are other efforts as well as from Sampatji and others to revise the historical landscape on Savarkarji. How relevant is Savarkar to contemporary Hindutva politics, or is it just blown out of proportion and being used by the other parties?
So being Vikram Sampath sitting in the room, I have no authority to speak on Savarkar. But yeah, you're right, I've spent some 15-20 pages in my book on Veer Savarkar. So if you go to BJP's office, there's only one bust. Rest all our portraits, only one bust, which is of Veer Savarkar. So there is something the BJP, which is BJP is engaging with Savarkar. So in the morning session, I think Professor Paranjapet told that how the term Hindutva is not coined by Savarkar per se, but a book or a pamphlet, whatever you say, is written by Hindutva, is written by Savarkar. And BJP engaged it in some capacity. See, we have seen that a lot of people who have this brand in India, and Indol writes it very nicely that we have a Gandhian thought in India, we have a Nehruvian thought in India, but we don't have a Patelian thought in India for some reason, right? We don't have this term called Patelian, why not? Similarly, we don't have a Savarkarian thought in India, right? So why some people are cut short and why some people are blown out of proportion or at least given their due? I'm not saying Mahatma Gandhi is blown out of proportion, but at least given the due, right? Even hanging Savarkar's statue in Parliament was a contested issue. And if you remember, it was happened during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time when APJ Abul Kalam was the Prime Minister. It seemed Pranab Da, who was in Congress, gave advisory, or not advisory, like APJ Abul Kalam should not attend it, but APJ Abul Kalam did attend it. And in that photo, very interestingly, Manohar Joshi, the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra, is also standing in the Shiv Sena there. And I don't know how comfortable they're showing that photo now. They're reinventing themselves, which is fine. I think any party can reinvent themselves at any point of time. When you read Lata Mangeshkar, very interestingly you realize that she will give credit to her singing to Veer Savarkar, that how Veer Savarkar gave her motivation. And I wrote that, I never knew this fact. I thought, am I misreading it? So there are a lot of about the mercy petition, what he did after that, what is the discussion between him and Dr. Ambedkar, what is the discussion between him and Subhash Chandra Bose and Rasbihari Bose. These conversations never came to us. The conversation came to us, unhone to maafi mangi thi. That it get peddled to us on TV screens, right? Just to clarify that, I thought, just to put the record straight, let me put these 16 chapters. The people I'm sure who were interested in Savarkar read a detailed work, but because of the completeness of it, I did with Savarkar, because I think if you just read the work of history that he has done, like amazing work, 6 epochs of history, amazing work on 1857 war. There is no parallel work in that capacity done on 1857. It should be republished as it is. I don't know why. I think publishers just take his work and republish as it is. It's an amazing historian, amazing poet, burning Videshi things. It started by him. Mahatma Gandhi then said no, it's not a good idea. Then later he co-opted. Right? Lot of Mandiri entry for Dalit movement started by him or in parallel with Ambedkar Sahib. Right? So, but credit never goes to him. Mercy petition. That's the only identity of Savarkar that we have pointed. That's why I felt like little wrong. So I thought let's correct it wrong when I'm correcting many others. So that's why I dedicated 15-20 pages there.
I hope people get more interested in Savarkar and dig deep into what he has, the great works he has done. Moving on to the next question, Shantanuji. Ruchir Sharma, a renowned economic commentator and strategist at Morgan Stanley, has expressed his disappointment in Modi. I'm taking little towards the current scenario in economics and the things which people are cribbing about. That I always expected a Margaret Thatcher in Modi, and all I got is a Bernie Sanders. challenges. Why we fear, why we don't have a free market policy still in place when this government is pro-right?
So I know there are a lot of young faces sitting here. I think still our engagement with these words left and right is a little basic, right? So when you say left and right, there is a cultural left and a cultural right and an economic left and economic right. I think what he's talking about the economic right? Which is more free market, which is pro-market, right? And BJP is considered pro-market, pro-business. And I think you're trying to ask, like the current BJP, is it pro-right or not, right? When BJP came, Narendra Modi came in 2014, among many other slogans which became more popular, like Achhe Din and Modi Ji Aane Wale Hain and all of that. There's one more slogan which was minimum government, maximum governance, right? That's a typical saying, and government has no business to be in business. So these are typical pro-market slogans, which a lot of free market guys liked it. But I think they feel still all those policies, free market, pro-market policies are not there. I think the comparison is made with market culture. See, I think every country has its own polity, and it's not fair to compare with other country. If I call a hall full of traders, small traders, and call Rujul Sharma to convince them that why Walmart is good for them, that's what he argued. See, it's easy to argue in the times of India open, but Narendra Modi is a politician, right? You have to convince masses that for small traders, Walmart is good, right? Because eventually it may be. I'm saying the argument a lot of free market dollars make, they're saying eventually in the whole supply chain will improve, they will also get a market, the whole market size will improve, the pie will improve, and they will also get the part of the pie. That's the argument, right? But it's not easy to convince in the day one, right? But again, you find like a topic like ease of doing business. A couple of us didn't even know the term. Now, when Telangana or Jharkhand or whichever states come first or second, they give a full page ad, right? So with ease of doing business, now I talked about topic, right? So disinvestment started by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Now we are talking about it at least, right? So I'm saying they're slowly moving. They're not there like a market culture. They're not bang on like that. But I'm saying it's far more pro-right than previous government that we have. And interestingly, this budget, when I think Nirmala Sitharaman said wealth creators will be respected. That's a tectonic shift in the idea itself. If you remember our movies, we had the hero was like a mill mazdoor, right? And the villain, which was normally the dad of the actress, with his side locks and a cigar, is an industrialist. So we always demonize capital and making money is bad, right? So now at least we are, when Nirmala Sitharaman parliament said wealth creators will be respected, and that's the idea we have. हमको लक्ष्मी पूजा करने वाले लोग हैं बहुत समय से. But we were made to respect कि जो पैसा कमाता है वो चोर. That's the socialist, Nehruvian socialist mindset we were fed on. So that's changing. So this is a mindset change also. At least now this new term called entrepreneur startup is helping the ecosystem. And I think everybody should call themselves entrepreneurs, not industrialists, because that's like a very bourgeois and that term, very left-wing term, right?
Right, thank you. The title says past, present and future. Having achieved some of its long-standing promises and desires like Ayodhya, Triple Talaq, Article 370. I'm sorry, I'm again bringing some of the burning issues which people are being too much concerned about. So, paving way for the Hindu minorities from Pakistan and Bangladesh. What are the important new ideologies and ideological project that would enthuse the Karyakarta from now on? He's talking about the future part. So
I think that's also my running commentary in the book that BJP stands on an ideology, right? When I talk to a lot of NSUI or Congress ground level Karyakartas at least, if you find urban Karyakartas in Delhi, they will articulate something. When you talk to, let's say, in a Jhansi or a Balia to Congress Karyakarta, it's very difficult for them to articulate what they stand for, right? A BJP guy, even they will say at least Bharat Mata Ka Lekar. They will say some articulation, even at the ground level, right? And you may agree with a lot of the policies BJP has brought or not, or you may disagree, but at least they are true to their manifesto. They are talking about these from 1988 from Jansangh time, be it a CAA or be a NRC or be a Ram Mandir, though it's a court ruling, but yeah. You are saying what are the other pending issues? So I think the list is still long. There is uniform civil code, that the whole country could be governed by the same laws. The history that we read in books is not what Vikram and what Professor has written. It's a very different history that we read in books, in history books. So I think the issues are long, and not only Ram Mandir. Now the case already started in Gyanvapi Mosque and the Kashi Vishwanath Temple. So see, it's a clash of civilization. I think we should start talking about it. We should not like hide it behind the carpet. A civilization came at the tip of the sword. Another civilization came maybe at the lure of the money, and they finally are the part of this society. Nobody is asking them to go away. But again, if someone takes pride in an Aurangzeb or pride in a Babur, I am sure a lot of Hindus will have a problem. So I think this reconciliation has to happen somehow at government level or at the level of the society also. I think that reconciliation will happen sometime. Currently is the turbulent time where it's in the clashing mode. But I think this conciliation will happen. This conciliation happened in many countries where this clash of civilization happened. In India will also eventually happen.
It's very well known and a kind of a fact that there are hundreds of stalwarts on the shoulders of whom BJP stands, and roughly 1 in 3 BJP voter has expressed that had it not been Modi, they wouldn't have voted for BJP. How critical is Narendra Modi to BJP, talking about the future again? And do you see Amit Shah as his natural successor, the apparent heir, or is it too early to say?
First of all, that's a tough question to ask to a Yogi Adityanath's biographer. But anyways, because you asked, see, I think it's always intriguing to talk in terms of names, and it get me being a political analyst, we all talk about name, right? But let's talk the system, right? If you see Narendra Modi of 2013-14, I think you will not disagree. He was not even first, not even second. He was almost third level leader in the hierarchy of BJP, right? It was Murli Manohar Joshi and Lalkesh Advani at the top level leaders. A leader of the opposition, who was the leader of the opposition? Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj in both the houses, right? And then the CMs, then the chief ministers. So he was almost a third level leader. But because he was popular, because he had a long administrative experience, party catapulted him to a prime minister post, right? So that you have to give it to the BJP that they are somehow managing talent, right? And they have done this experiment, maybe they failed or not. A non-Maratha chief minister in Maharashtra, a non-Jat chief minister in Haryana, a non-tribal chief minister in Jharkhand, a non-OBC chief minister in Uttar Pradesh, a non-Patel chief minister in Gujarat. So they have played this not keep the people happy just because of the caste combination, keep the best person, keep the best administrator out there, right? So they have failed. A lot of people say they are losing elections because of that. They also should follow the caste politics as other parties are following. So I think that way you have to give it to them that people are not related and they have a good human resource policy that way, right? JP Nadda is not the son and daughter of Amit Shah, not a son and daughter of Rajnath Singh or Venkaiah Naidu. They are not related. They are there because of merit, right? Versus if you see the other party, let's say Congress, their talent pool is limited. They have 3 people. You have to just switch akkad bakkad. Aaj Sonia, kal Rahul, Priyanka, maybe two the children of Priyanka, or maybe Rahul produce children someday. This is 7 is their talent pool, right? So I think this is a simple thing, right? If you have a limited talent pool, it's very difficult for you to put up a leader, right? That way BJP has a big talent pool. Talking about names, you never know what name may come up after whenever Narendra Modi goes out of scene. But I think these 2-3 names come out of to my mind is Amit Shah for sure, Amit Shah, Yogi Adityanath, and Devendra Fadnavis, because age is on their side. After 7, 8, 10 years, a lot of the senior leaders of BJP will be like biologically dead, right? Like not politically dead. And by the way, BJP people are dying, which is sad. Right? Half of the last cabinet is no more, right? Which is sad. Right? Right? A lot of people say BJP lost the CA debate because they don't have Arun Jaitley. Shawl पहन के वो English में जब बताते तो ऐसे ही समझ में आ रहा था. So I think these 3 people are like Yogi is 46, he was 44 when I wrote the book, so 46 and a half. Devendra Fadnavis is 48, 49. Amit Shah is 53, 54. So right, and these people have a good CV already, right? Like Devendra Fadnavis was a party president, a mayor, I think mayor, was a mayor of Nagpur, a chief minister for 5 years. Yogi Adityanath is a 5-time MP, chief minister of Uttar Pradesh. Amit Shah, I don't know how many times he was MLA, now a home minister, party president. So these people have like been length and breadth of the country, popular also. You have to be politically popular and a good political CV. So and yeah. So that's why these three names comes to mind, but you never know. The way BJP, it's like Australian cricket team, right? You never know. All of a sudden, some new guys come and take 6 wickets or make 100 runs. Actually, maybe their local cricket is strong. So I think local cricket of BJP is a little strong. That's why they keep throwing up good leaders. So I think talking names is easy, but I'm saying these names comes to mind, I'm sure. But their HR policy seems to be good at this point. So they will throw up some name.
Again, with permission from Professor Baranjpe, I'll again ask a question which is very close to his heart, JNU. You have mentioned about JNU roughly good 4 or 5 pages in the book. How it became a left bastion and how is it relevant to this book?
See, I think when I say that it was difficult for me to find the references because the academy is filled with left content, right? That's why in my organizer article I said everyone who believes in the right side should contribute a book or at least support someone who can write a well-referenced, well-researched, published with a good publisher and out there on an airport, on a library, on a crossword, everywhere, right? On a literature festival, you should put out a book, right? And the contribution is genuine, right? As I told you, I think it happened in 1967, I think, when this Kamaraj faction defected from Indira Gandhi and her government became a minority government, right? Almost 60 odd MPs. In fact, a lot of people still say that the current Congress is not the original Congress, right? The old Congress is already gone, right? And then left supported, along with DMK, left supported Indira Gandhi government. And that time, at the same time, the JNU was happening. JNU was getting formed. So it was almost a quid pro quo that I, the Congress, will take power, and you, the left, will take the academy of this country. And Aniruddh Hazra, I think he was the education minister of Indira Gandhi then. He, along with the left liberal, captured the recruitment process of all universities. So if you go to any big university, you will find the HODs of political science department, social science department, they have some connection with JNU. They have done their PhD, or half of the people are the PhD from JNU there. They have some connection with JNU. So JNU has become this center to send intellectuals everywhere, right? And so are the PhD scholars under them. So the very rigorous scholarship on the right side is not created, or if it's created, it was not published. It was not published with your penguins and hoppers, right? It was published by a Prabhat Prakashan or maybe a Voice of India or maybe Sita Ram Goyalji has written something, R.C. Mazumdar has written something, but not in the mainstream, right? So that's the contribution of JNU. But it's a good institution, as Professor said in the morning. I think let all flowers bloom. Answer to every book should be another book, not burning of the book, not banning of the book. Right? That was my attempt to. That was my attempt to what I see as wrongs written in history. How can I correct it? So through BJP, I also written the 150 years of nationalistic movements. And my first chapter is what's at stake. And I make a point that are governments only to check the price of onions and petrol, or there is a larger purpose. It's a larger civilization at stake, or we want to get stuck only at the price of onions. So yeah.
Thank you. I just want to ask one question. How many of you know, or how many of us know that Nalanda University had a library which was 9-story high? Fair number of hands. Good, I'm glad. So the book starts with all those details. So it's not only about BJP, it's about Bharat, it's about India. I would now select few questions from the audience. So those who are interested, please keep your questions brief. We have only 10 minutes, and to the subject, not non-controversial. Thank you.
Yeah, very well spoken, I must say. I'm just curious to know who is exactly the brain behind the way the BJP is working. Is it RSS? Is it the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh who actually gives the software inputs of it?
See, I think a lot of RSS people, they are the worst critic of BJP. You must have seen. कि इनसे तो कुछ होगा ही नहीं. Right. So I think that's what I'm saying. It's a movement. At time, I think it's a very interesting conversation. Then in 1951, when Jansangh was happening, there was a conversation between Guru Golwalkar ji that कि RSS ही party बन जाए क्या? Can RSS become a political party? And then first time formally RSS led its people. Now it doesn't happen that formally. Now it's happened something called a Sangathan Mantri. If you know this post for Sangathan Mantri, which was Ramalaji earlier, now someone called B.L. Santosh. And every state has a Sangathan Mantri, which is sent from RSS or from RSS aligned organization like ABVP, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's not one person, right? Lot of things started somewhere. It's basically their people connect and their hard work. That's why I'm saying. For someone like a Rahul Gandhi, at least he has to match the hard work of Amit Shah. In the election, when Delhi is polling today, right, with almost 2 more hours. When 3 months back, everyone was talking that Aam Aadmi Party will make a clean sweep, and it may eventually will still. But at least now it's a contesting election, right? Just because of the sheer hard work. So you have to match the hard work to the hard work of BJP and how they're mapping people, how they're meeting people. Even in a state where elections are 2 years away, they are making their booth karyakartas, right? So that's why I'm saying, apart from BJP, the only other party maybe left have some cadre. Otherwise, there's no cadre. Rest all parties are running on some popular narrative. So I think that's all helping BJP. What Amit Shah and Narendra Modi has done, Narendra Modi has made the pro-right agenda a little large. That's one. Because he has a governance background that added to it, and Amit Shah well avoided the election machinery. That's why currently is working beautifully for them.
Next question.
Hi, I think practically all of them.
See, I think it's a luxury for it.
For the 2024, does BJP have a narrative which is different than what they did in 2014 and 2009?
See, for a lot of political commentators, it's very difficult to comment because a lot of people thought that a lot of these things that are happening in the last 6 months will happen in 2023, and they will build on the pro-right narrative, right? Maybe a Ram Mandir movement, or a CAA, or an NRC, or a triple talaq, or a 370, right? Because a lot of these topics were like topic of PhD thesis. A lot of people lost their topics now. 370 में आप क्या करेंगे? I know a lot of people are still doing like अब वो सोच रहे हैं करें क्या? End कैसे करें? तो हो गया ना? मतलब there is not much debate about it, right? So I think it's little perplexing for me also to think that आगे कैसे लेके जाएंगे, right? A lot of people on the funny mode keep writing on Twitter and other platform कि अरे अब तो सब हो गया फिर 2024 का चुनाव कैसे लड़ेंगे, right?
अब सब हो गया है तो क्या वो असली मुद्दों पे जा?
I'm saying for you it may not be a thing.
No.
I think just let me complete.
I'll interrupt.
Just. So the day Ram Janmabhoomi temple verdict came, some economist on Twitter came. Is this over now? Can we talk economy?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I tweeted over it, and my tweet got viral. Someone did a story on that. I told that Balaji Tirupati is a 3,000 crore rupees economy. Kavar Yatra, if you know, it happens in North. It's a 500 crore rupees economy. Ganesh Visurgin in Mumbai itself is a 2,000 crore rupees economy. Prayag Kumbh generated 1 lakh crore rupee economy. So yeah, we should talk economy. We should talk economy of Ayodhya, which was curtailed just by a fake case from last 70 years. So India has almost 200 towns that run on religious economy. So I think it's let's not trivialize that these are not issues. 370 was not an issue, 35 was not an issue, and this issue is real, that issue is not real. Every issue is real. So I think and every issue has a minister. Finance ministry is doing finance ministry's work. It's not that all people are doing law and order. And law and order ministry is doing like home ministry is doing home ministry's work. But interestingly that from last 6 years which I've seen, there's a lot of political education also happened. A lot of people are talking about it. I don't know by virtue of what. Maybe social media, maybe the opposition by the opposition, so that everything is out there. And now there is a tweet, there is a counter tweet, there is a counter tweet. So now after demonetization, everyone on the street was economists. They knew that note कहाँ छपते हैं, कितने की currency है, कितना digital है. After CA, everyone knows कि citizenship मुझे birth से मिली है, naturalization से मिली है, शादी करके मिली है. So this is good. I think that's the way civic engagement should be. I think till now we were having the politician the way we deserve. जितना engage करेंगे उतना ही politician वैसा ही मिलेगा. I think good that we are engaging more. Whichever party you are voting in, engage with them more, keep them on toes. Yeah.
Sir, Anurag.
Syria. My question basically is like, we are seeing a lot of publications coming out which are, kind of right-wing in terms of, we see a lot of literature about Samuka, we see a lot of literature about RSS and BJP, etc., in the last 4-5 years. So is it because the political environment right now, being BJP in power, is favorable, or is it just because we had some kind of a censorship in the last 70 years that we were actually not seeing so much of publications and so much of literature coming out in the open?
I think that's an interesting question. I think Gupta Bloomsbury for sure, right? I met them, they said you want to write. But I'm saying there's the ecosystem. Ecosystem helps. So I was telling in a college, Mughal Azam is made in 1960. So many years back, but the Tanaji is made in 2019. Maybe you can give a tribute to Modi, maybe you can not. Even so, let's say if you see the movie industry, I'm giving a parallel to the movie industry, a lot of movies which are celebrating India. Even in 1983, World Cup movie was not made. Anything which was celebrating India's poverty or India's sadness was made, right? When we celebrating India, in 1983 World Cup victory, movie was not made. Now it's getting made. In Jhansi Ki Rani, everyone knows it. Movie was not made, right? So I think there is something. Maybe political dispensation also sets the tone of the nation. So because this is selling, so for publication, genre is one thing for sure, and theme is one thing, but finally it's what is selling. So I think this is selling now, and more people are reading. So I think this is selling. And
we have products as well. So can you please? We will take the last question from. Yes.
I have two questions. Built-in comment. Number one thing is कि जनसंघ सन 67 से बहुत स्टेट पे काम रूलिंग में थी, यूपी में थी, मध्य प्रदेश में थी, गुजरात में थी, लेकिन वो कभी बाद में पावर में नहीं आया. उसका कारण क्या है? क्या आपने भी शायद अपनी किताब में एनालाइज नहीं किया है? और
Sir, we would like to get the question.
I am coming on the question.
Let's request. I have the last 1 minute. So if you want to reply to the question, please request about the question.
दूसरा, गुजरात में मोदी जी क्यों सक्सेस हुए? चीज है कि इफिशिएंसी और कंपेटिबिलिटी लोगों में रहती है, इंटेंशन की कमी होती है. मोदी जी के इंटेंशन पे लोगों ने बिलीव किया और क्योंकि उन्होंने ऑनेस्टली इम्प्लीमेंट किया और आगे बढ़े, इसीलिए ऐसा हुआ. तो क्या आप भी यही सोचते हैं कि मोदी जी आगे रहेंगे, चलेंगे या नहीं चलेंगे?
two questions together.
Yes.
This contributes to BJP's manifesto or it became a manifesto?
So I think 1967 में सरकारें बनी, उसके बाद क्यों डिमाइस हो गया? I think उसके बाद कुछ हुआ. बलराज मधोक was engagement with Jansangh and how he was kept out of Jansangh after a while because he became little dictatorial or he wanted to run the party in a certain way. And then after emergency, that how Jansangh was dissolved into, and during 75 to 77, the whole Jansangh was almost dissolved into during the movement time when the government was not made. And this classic statement of JP that if Jansangh is fascist, I am fascist. I have quoted exactly when he said. So anyone, a lot of parties are today call them JP and Lohiya parties. All the parties which are named Janata Party or Samajwadi in their name from north to south to east, they are the offspring of JP movement, right? But they miss this fact that JP said if Jansangh is fascist, I am fascist. On Modi, I think that can be a personal opinion, sir. I have not done a lot of analysis. I have just put the facts because there are a lot of facts just to put. When you say RSS dictates or not, I'm saying a lot of people at the senior leadership of BJP, I think if you see all the top 10 ministers, they come from a RSS background. And I'll try to quote, and that's the way I headed, I put the heading of my section, that RSS is kind of an ideological compass for BJP. It doesn't run the daily working of BJP. And in fact, at times, lot of times at loggerheads, like what do you call that? Swadeshi Jagran Manch. Swadeshi Jagran Manch and Commerce Ministry have huge problem. Commerce Ministry is quite pro-market now. They want to invite Walmart and Amazon maybe. But Swadeshi Jagran Manch may be against it. A lot of Sangh-based Mazdoor unions are always loggerhead to the labor laws that government want to reform, right? Yeah. So I think it's a hard question, but again, because a lot of human resource come from there, so they might bear those ideological ideas anyways.
We will There are lot many questions in our hearts and minds, but can't help. The author has to catch a flight back to Kolkata.
Books are there, do buy it, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's not only BJP's history, it's also the history of 150 years India in a different perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
you'll find a lot of Congress also, because BJP didn't happen in vacuum. By the time BJP is happening, Congress is also happening. So what's happening in Congress and what is I have quoted a lot of Atal Bihari Vajpayee's original speeches, what he said in Parliament and on different issues. So that's very interesting for me at least. I'm sure you all will.
Yesterday it was Shantanu's birthday. He has not been keeping well for the last almost 10 days. Still he travelled. VLF is thankful to you, sir, for your time and confidence. And we hope that we get to read more and more from you, and you keep enlightening all of us. Over to the...
Can you take a picture of the book?
Yes, definitely.
This has been a very interesting session. On behalf of VLF, we wish to gift you with a book and a token of our appreciation for spending time in within by our free author, Dr. Nazdeen Jimkhanawala. I request you to present our author with the gift bag. Exclusive painting for our author.